Hello everyone, welcome to eBritish IELTS. In this class we are going to talk about academic reading question type true, false, not given. Now this is the most dreaded section in reading, and even the best in business are often completely confused here. So in this video we are going to talk about how to approach this reading section. So let's get started. Right. So true, false, not given is going to appear as either true, false, not given or yes, no, not given. That is what you're going to see in the instruction section. True or yes if the statement agrees with the passage or the writer's opinion. No if it contradicts, and not given if it is impossible to make out from the passage what the writer means, or it's not discussed at all, to make it simpler for you. Right. So what's the first thing to keep in mind? The first thing to keep in mind is that you're not going to assume anything or infer in any which way. In other words, do not bring any foreknowledge to the reading. Only go by what is given in the passage. Right. Now, what are the different methods that you can adopt while solving this set of questions? The first thing that you can do, and you'll have to do, is to identify keywords. Not just the keywords in the question, but also understand the entire information given in the statement. So when I say I'll identify keywords as the first step, that's the question's keywords that you are going to identify, while at the same time absorbing the meaning of the question statement. Having done those two things, you have to go back to the passage, look for those keywords in the passage. Once you find them, match them carefully with the information that comes in the question statement. So the three things that you do once you locate the area where the answer lies, the first thing that you need to do is to find out if they match. If they do not match, if there's a contradiction there in the passage, is the opposite being stated, in which case obviously the answer is false, or is that not discussed completely in the passage? So three things again to reiterate. Is there a match in the passage? If there is no match, then is there a direct contradiction? If there is no contradiction or no match, then it is obviously not discussed or not given in the passage. Now let us take an example of a reading passage, and try to solve a few examples for you. Now as you can see, this is a reading section on dyslexia. Now let's go to the questions. There are four statements here which you have to mark as true, false, or not given. That's the exercise that we are going to solve today. So coming to the first question, dyslexia is a disorder related to intelligence. Like I said in the beginning, you are not going to bring your knowledge on the topic to the reading. You'll have to go to the passage and see if the passage is corroborating this statement, which is dyslexia is a disorder related to intelligence. So in the case of question number 1, our keywords are going to be dyslexia and intelligence. So I'm going to quickly go through, skim and scan for the word dyslexia. You find it right in the first sentence, but it doesn't say anything about intelligence. If I quickly read through line number 2 and 3, I don't find anything about intelligence there. When I come to line number 4, I see there's something about intellectual ability mentioned here. So I have highlighted this out for you. There. In the fourth line, we see it is not related to intellectual ability, vision, or access to education, the text says. Now, it is not related to intellectual ability. Intellectual ability is a close synonym of intelligence. You don't exactly find another word for intelligence here, but intellectual ability means the same thing. It is not related, the passage says, whereas our statement says that it is a disorder related to intelligence. So we see there is a direct contradiction over here in the passage. So it's a false, guys. Question number 2. Dyslexia is usually diagnosed during a child's first years of school. Now I'm going to go back to the unmarked text and try to find it ourselves. Okay, so reading ahead from intellectual ability, the 4th line, I go to the 5th line where it says nothing about elementary school years or the first years of school, but the last sentence of paragraph 1 talks about elementary school years and a diagnosis of dyslexia during this period of time. So I'll show you which one here. Children are generally diagnosed with this dyslexia during the elementary school years when they are learning how to read and spell. Now match this closely with the facts given in the statement for question number 2. Is dyslexia is usually diagnosed during a child's first years of school. We don't find a mention of first year of schools, but we do find elementary school years. That's the same thing as the first years of school when children learn how to read, write and spell. That's exactly what this sentence in the passage says, that children are generally diagnosed with dyslexia during the elementary school years when they are learning how to read and spell. Fantastic. So that's a match. So question number 2 is true because all aspects of that sentence are matched by this sentence in the paragraph. All right, let's move on to question number 3. People with dyslexia often read in reverse. Now I'm going to go back to the unmarked text and let us try and find this in the passage. Now we were already at the end of paragraph 1, so I'm going to start reading from paragraph 2 here. And when I'm skimming and scanning for the information that is given by this question of ours, that people often read in reverse if they have dyslexia. Do I find it anywhere here? I can find it in the 4th line. Many dyslexic children read letters and words backwards. That's reading in reverse. So obviously I'm not going to find the exact same keywords. The question says people with dyslexia often read in reverse. I understand what reading in reverse is. So while I'm keeping that in mind and going through the passage, I find these children with dyslexia, they read letters and words backwards. So that's the 4th line of 2nd paragraph, and there I find my information. They often mistake a B for a D or read was instead of saw. That's reading a word or letter in reverse, isn't it? So that too is a match. So that is again a true for question number 3. Now moving on to the last question, which is question number 4. There's a tendency for dyslexia between twins. Now, is there any mention of twins and dyslexia in the passage? If I continue reading from the point that we left off in the passage, we will find at the end of passage 2, genetic research, often in the form of twin studies, shows that dyslexia may be passed on in families. Let us pull up the slide with the highlighted text. Genetic research, often in the form of twin studies, shows that dyslexia may be passed on in families. Now, this is not exactly the information that is given to us in question number 4, is it? Question number 4 says there is a tendency for dyslexia between twins. That means that there is more occurrence of dyslexia between twins. That means twins have it more than normal kids. But is this what the passage says? The passage tells us that genetic research is often done in the form of twin studies, and it shows that dyslexia may be passed on in families. That means that it might be a hereditary condition. But it does not for once say that twins have dyslexia more than normal kids. Is there a tendency for dyslexia? Is there more tendency or less tendency in twins? That is not elaborated upon. So that aspect, whether there is a tendency for dyslexia between twins, is not given, because there is no direct comment on whether twins have it more than normal children. The only thing that we know from here that sometimes it runs in families, and that is what genetic research has focused on. But it is not from the standpoint of twins having it more than normal children. So I can't even write it as false, because there's nothing about tendency for dyslexia between twins. So in my opinion, this is not given. It's not supported by the information that is given in the passage here. So the final answers as they stand are false for the first question, because it was contradicted by the information in the passage. Second and third were exactly supported by the information in the passage, so they are both true. And the last one is not given, guys. So that's how you're going to go about this particularly difficult section of true, false, not given. Of course, there is yet another way of handling true, false, not given, which is breaking a particular sentence down into a subject, verb and object portions, and then looking for that information in the passage. We are going to work out some examples for that as well, but that would be in a separate video. Till then, practice true, false, not given, adopting the principles that I have spoken about in this video, and I'm going to see you soon. Thank you.